3rd, 12, just got noon there. And in a couple hours, we'll be having a whole bunch of people show up for the family party. Family, friends, all good stuff. For updates and things on the office, we are waiting to hear back. I think a couple of days. I may mention this the last time, but basically waiting to hear on our response to the offer we gave to the real estate people. And now, hey, Rohit. Rohit is back over on the YouTube island. I will say, TikTok's camera quality or live quality is 50 times better than YouTube. What? But yes, so basically woke up this morning, did a whole bunch of video editing as we always do. I had this response from the landlord to say, hey, let's do this thing. Oh, light. Where's this clear? Yeah. Let me know how this is. YouTube, say hello to TikTok world. Not sure if you guys know each other very well. But now we're gonna tighten this little puppy up. Sorry for bumping shit around. First time using this little stand here. TikTok, let me know how the volume is on your end. All right. Rohith, over on the YouTube story. How does this sound? A great transformation. Nice. Beautiful. We have all sorts of screwed up here this morning. Jeez. So there we go. Now, we'll go like that. We should be good enough on that end. And just to make you guys even here. Even Steven. Okay. We should all be happy now. I'll stop shaking the camera around. All right, what's going on, people? Jeez. Here we go. Get all our stuff open and ready. Oh, man. Zandra. I have kidney disease, stage 4. Can this be reversed to stage 2? How do I get the protein lower? I mean, you're definitely seeing some docs already for something like that going on, because that is very far along in the progression of something like kidney issues. So you've already been told hydrate like crazy, all those things. You're probably going to have to be on a med for a while. And now, what I would be doing very first thing is reducing sugar, taking some Albizia. I would be taking some kidney glandular as well, because you can get good proteins and enzymes and macronutrients for the kidney in that way. But yeah, I would want to get labs done to monitor those sugars, monitor how the liver's doing, maybe getting some blood pressure down and things like Albesia and dandelion root for the time being. But on something like this, I would want you to send me a message on here because you're gonna need some good guidance on how to approach this because it is not a overnight fix, and it's certainly going to take some time to get that response back to normal. But yeah, it can be very scary. And can I take astragalus? Astragalus can be good. I love that herb. Is it going to be as powerful as something like Albesia or dandelion root right now? Mm, not as much. Um, you're going to get more factors on immune things and blood vessel health in that sense too. So you can have good effects on the kidneys that way, just from a blood vessel standpoint. But yeah, I would be I would be watching sugars, stomach acidity too, just to help with some of that protein breakdown in the beginning. And maybe you can do something like Oregon grape from a liver standpoint. It's going to help break down and convert some of those proteins because it's ended up in the kidneys, and now you're having a lot of trouble there. So mycotoxins also very connected to something like kidney issues. I'd be curious to see if you have anything like that going on. Can certainly help in certain aspects. But yeah, blood work, probably getting some food allergies ran, and I'd be curious if you have any mycotoxicity because that can target your kidneys a ton. But send me a message because this has probably been going on for a long time. Um, Not that there's a cost associated with any of this. I just want to guide you through, give away some today to the people of the world on a beautiful Saturday. But yeah, I'm very sorry to hear that from Mrs. Andra. So, and of course, if you have more questions, I'll be doing this for the next hour and a half. So let's get going. Um, okay, Rohith. I know I kind of neglected the YouTube people here, but we fixed the mic, so now we're good there. Is Wellness Way ready in New Jersey? Not just yet. I know we are still working on getting the building all sorted out. So currently looking in Morris County. Um, in Randolph is the township, so basically right in the middle of Chester, Mendham, Denville, Rockaway, Morristown, right smack dab in the middle of Morris County. Beautiful area in New Jersey. Um, and pretty much everything that we needed for this building space is exactly what they have. So we should be able to just turn the key, look pretty, and then get rolling and be able to help you guys even more than we are here today. But great question, Rohith. And I love how you remembered that. So it's like we got two little families on both YouTube and TikTok, little social islands here. But do I like rocket ships? Uh, I guess they're pretty cool. Okay, now to come on back, I missed a few here. William, what is your. Okay, we got Ben's jokes that we tackled there. Um, William, what is your degree in? I have a chiropractic degree as well as athletic training from my undergrad. And that's honestly what kind of led me to chase the chiropractic realm. And most people, their first reaction to that is like, oh my goodness, this guy got his freaking education from a Fruit Loops box, from a cereal box. It's like, oh goodness. But um, hey, all my training has been through the Wellness Way there out. So not just in a physical sense, adjusting somebody's joints away, which is great for mobility. It's great for taking stress off the system physically. It's great from a neurological standpoint, but it doesn't have as powerful of an effect that you can have on including the mental and chemical stressors too, which is the foundations of the philosophy of the profession, regardless of what the keyboard warriors might be here to say. So, but we'll get into it. It'll be fun. Zondra's question we handled. Let me just fricking do this on my laptop here. That way I don't have to shake the camera like crazy trying to monitor those comments. Let's go like this, go like that. There we go. Beautiful. Lane, what's going on? Okay, wait. William had another question. Thoughts and experience with peptides. I honestly, I have to study these way more. I don't know a heck of a lot on peptides themselves. I think it's a trend right now, but you're trying to get some sort of enzymatic activity from those things. Am I against them? I don't know enough to say that I'm against them, but there are certainly plenty of factors that you can have contribute to getting your own enzymatic production up in that sense, and just having labs to guide you on those things, because you don't want to be kind of blindly guessing or shotgun approaching to a lot of these things either. So there's that. But clicking around. Oh, wait. What did I just do here? I just screwed something up. Back. I don't know what I did. Okay, there it is. Experience with peptides. Lane, could you tend to feel more emotional after a massage and feel bleh? Yes, because you're moving your lymphatics around. So there will be remnants of toxicity throughout the whole system. That's really the immune system's job is Ahmed. I agree, man. I agree. Either way, I'm gonna get into some trouble here today. Um, either way, I should probably watch too much of what we're doing here. But totally. And when you're doing things like massages and things, um, yeah, this is why I love things like rebounders, trampolines, because you're going to get both a distractive and compressive force over and over. And now that's pretty much taken all the blood pressure, the lymphatics in the lungs, the lower limbs, especially the calves. Those are like your second heart, pumping all of the fluids through there, not just from a blood vessel standpoint, but also the immune system too. So now, from that standpoint, getting a massage, you're going to move a lot of the lymphatics along there. Maybe you can do a little bit of something to push your liver a little bit more, just to help get some things throughout the system there, um, or a little bit of binders. That way, you can just take what's freely circulating and scoop some of that up there, because you're going to feel it. But unstable internet. Oh no. But yeah, Lane, that's common to see. Get yourself a rebounder though. I'm gonna put somebody onto a rebounder today. I swear. I freaking love them every day. Curious why chiropractors say they are chiropractic physicians. I mean, that's part of the degree, right? You're a doctor of, and then your profession. So, like a physical therapist is a doctor of physical therapy. So, really, what the whole profession that I'm doing here is about is mental, chemical, physical stress, getting those down, using labs to monitor the physiology there and the adaptations, and then supporting normal physiology, whether that be food, supplementation, lifestyle things. But the whole point of our care is to get out of our care, to not be constantly taking something just for symptoms. And Lane's been through this, Laura Bolt, she might be on here too. Um, all these people have, or half the darn chat here has been through what we do. But what was your undergrad path for your doc? I was going for my DPT and found it wasn't for me. So, William, we are pretty much, or I was in the same spot as you. So, quick little commercial break here. Um, when I was an undergrad, I went to King's College, went to athletic training school there, and super cool. It's basically physical therapy just for the athletic realm. So you're going to be doing a lot of rehabilitation, training on proprioception, training on plyometrics, and building athletes up, whether that's from a post-surgical case like ACL tears. I've dealt with so many of those. This is like ingrained into my DNA of how to take care of a post-surgical thing going on. But During that time, I was one of the athletic trainers as a student for the lacrosse team there. And there was this one girl that had an issue with her shoulder. And for the life of me, I deployed every freaking technique I knew on rehab, on massage techniques, on retraining the scapula, on promoting thoracic mobility from a rotational standpoint, on balancing out the anterior and posterior chains, the cross chains, fascia, all these things. And we had a team Cairo that would only really come by when there was a major issue going on and somebody needed that type of help. At the time, I was like, chiropractic's full of crap. Honestly, I was full going PT route after graduating undergrad. I was like, yep, I want to be PT. I want to do some type of sports rehab. That was really what I was most interested in at the time. But this team Cairo came in and he showed me, he's like, okay, yeah, here's C7. And he showed me how that entire segment was basically pushed all the way to the left. And that nerve root was reaching the top of her scapula. And that's what was creating basically a pain sense. Because in the cross, you're very heavily one sided. And it's great to cross train, but most people are dominant on one side. And that was her dominant side. So he adjusted C7, T1, and she never complained about that for the rest of the season. And I was like, shit, I deployed everything I knew. And this guy came in freaking 30 seconds, was like, yep, boom, done. Um, so that kind of drove me nuts and sent me on a big rabbit chase. And me and my buddy, um, Dr. Nick Litzy, he um, he just got a motorcycle. Pretty freaking cool. He lives in Florida now, but we both went to chiropractic school together. And then after like the first or second trimester there, because we go in just bigger chunks of time in school, I started getting a lot of depression, a lot of back acne, nausea like crazy every morning, acid reflux after every meal. And given I was in grad school, so I was doing Costco pizza, muffins, eating chicken bakes, double chunk chocolate cookie in it, not to bring that nightmare back from the internet. But I took part of my student loan, and there was a Wellness Way Club in my school. I went to Logan University, and my friend Dr. Bryce introduced me to the club. So, like, this is very early on in that school. I've been with Wellness Way for about 5 years now, helping people and things through the care as a student. And I was like, all right, if it's real, I'll see what it's about. Then I'm doing apple cider vinegar, eating organ meats, doing all the things, getting food allergies tested, getting my gut tested, had some blood work done, and pretty quickly, because I changed all my lifestyle things, I was like, this is freaking awesome. I can do the rehab side of things, I can adjust, I can do nutritional things, I can do lab work, supplementation. It's like I'm really doing the whole thing here. And I've just been obsessed with it ever since. So here we are now. A couple years later, worked with the headquarters team, Dr. Patrick, Dr. Zach, the founders of the Wellness Way company, and got all my education straight from them. So pretty freaking cool. And now, a couple months ago, moved back to New Jersey to open the very first location here in New Jersey, which coming to you soon. Either way, holy crap, I probably got a bunch to roll through. Lane, she puts rebounder question mark. Lane, come on now. I talked about this the other day. Um, this is basically like a personal trampoline, not just for lymphatic flow and things like this, but the heart, the pooling of blood in the lower limbs, your blood pressure, your venous system, your lungs, your heart itself. Now you're going to have basically that compressive and distractive force, very easy on the joints. I don't sell these things. I'm just trying to promote this like crazy because people trying to buy a $2,000 vibration plate, it's like get a freaking rebounder for crying out loud. And you could do a lot of the same things. And vibration plates are great. They're going to have good benefits there too. Um, but yeah, it's like a personal mini that and box balling, which is like the human cat toy thing. But we'll stay on task here because the comments are building up a little bit. We'll go rapid fire until we get all caught up here. Got to get facial muscles all loosened up for lives like this because you freaking talk like crazy. Okay, William, and then we'll tackle the YouTube comments here too. I need to start going to PT. Been having Achilles tendonitis, and it's affecting my gastrocnemius, which is the calf muscle there, pretty badly. Cross friction massage. Can't talk today, people. Cross friction massage. This is something that you could do with your two thumbs, so you can do some of that. Really, you don't need a crazy length of time to be doing some of that. Eccentric strengthening of tendons is by far the best way to actually get rebuilding of that tendon itself. And then I'd invite you to freeze a water bottle. You can do some Jesus Christ, ice massage with that water bottle. Put that sucker in the freezer, and then use a non-sharp end of that plastic water bottle and use that as an ice massage technique. That's a cool little trick I learned in athletic training as well. And then proprioceptive training. So balancing, whether you start off with double leg feet on a wobble board or something like that. But there you go. Ice massaging with the water bottle, cross friction massage with your two thumbs. You can do some eccentric strengthening. You can do that on a staircase very easily. And maybe something like a rebounder. So, okay, YouTube. Ba-ba-ba. We got Ahmed commenting all good stuff here. Naz, good afternoon. Crazy Rankings 5. Are you a doctor? I'm a doctor of chiropractic. So, hence the name, Dr. Antonio DC. Sorry for burping. That's kind of gross. Ooh, you got some high arches here too. I had custom insoles for my podiatrist, but I feel like it made it worse. Yes, it did, because your feet are supposed to be strengthening those arches on their own. So I encourage people to go to barefoot shoes, to not having crazy arch support there, because I disagree with that, and we can disagree on any point. It doesn't mean we need to hang me from nails on a cross, right? But yeah, I think truly that your feet are supposed to be in contact with the ground. That is to support your body weight. That is to strengthen your own insoles of the feet themselves, because there are intrinsic muscles of the feet, kind of like your fingers. And they should be ambidextrous. They should be strong. They should be elastic tissues because you need to support the whole body there. Um, and I think things like jumping, I think things like proprioceptive training is a great way to support the arches of the feet. You're reprogramming the neurology there. So the extra support on my arches almost gave my feet a sense of dependency on them, which, yeah, that's exactly what's happening, William. Exactly what's happening. Oh my goodness. What is happening here? How do I scroll? There we go. Boom. Okay. Where? I hate how TikTok comments, I don't know if you guys ever go live, but it basically, whenever you try and read a comment, it scrolls all the way to the bottom. Drives me crazy. So I'm gonna find William's thing here. There we go. High arches. There we go. Laura Bolt. Good morning. Hello, Laura. Randy. We got a little hater in here. That's all right. We're just talking about physiology. I don't talk about medications or surgery. Medicine doesn't own your fucking body, so they can't tell you everything to do about your fucking body. Again, normal physiology that we're trying to support here. And people, honestly, I love seeing people take responsibility of their own health. I think it's very hard to do that. And the more that people start doing that, it should give relief to a lot of profession, whether you're allopathic or non-allopathic, because now patients are taking charge of their own health. So we could get sassy. Lane, tips or motivation getting off my SSRI. Oh my goodness. So I can't tell you what to do with medication, like I just said. But a lot of that comes back to the rebuilding aspect of the GI, getting good neurotransmitter production in there from good commensal bacteria, which means you don't have overgrowths of your own microbials or opportunistic overgrowths as well, or infections, which I know you've had some Genova testing too in the past. Another thing to invite you on is handling the mental stress, which we've talked about a bunch on here live. Um, but also things like a Dutch test so that you can see how certain estrogens are being converted throughout the body. Because you will have, ladies, yes or no here, put it down below. Can your hormones affect your brain? Anybody who, and I don't understand this because I've never had a menstrual cycle, but anybody who has had a menstrual cycle knows damn well that your hormones can influence your brain. Um, and yeah, at certain times, especially when you're under some crazy stress, like Lane let me know the last day or two, um, she's been going through it, supporting in ways that she knows currently, and meeting up with her own wellness way docs. See Dr. Andy there. This is all stuff she let us know, so I'm not giving out stuff that way. But yeah, um, nervous for coming off of that med, and it can be nerve wracking. Just make sure you're in good communication with your MD because they're going to guide you on how to dose those things properly and how to get it off without causing too much crazy trouble there. So because it's going to take some time, but and then Kate, she's back. Hello, Kate. 3 symptoms gone after leaving the moldy environment. Beautiful. But others are worsening. Head pressure, dizziness, burning eyes, and nose. Why is this? So I don't know if I mentioned, but one of the craziest mold cases I've ever seen was a whole family actually. And it was so bad that once you would leave the environment, which typically makes people feel better when you get out of that moldy environment. But now your body starts getting rid of all this stuff way faster because it's not coming into the system. So I'd invite you to do very, very small amounts of things like binders. Charcoal, probably one of my favorite ones. You want to do this completely away from food, and I want you to be supporting your liver. Things like Sisandra, um, something like turmeric. Not too crazy heavy into the milk thistles and things like that. I don't know your state of anemia. I don't know your state of a lot of things there, so that can influence you a ton. But yes, you have probably some things circulating throughout the system. Use some binders there so that you can bind up some of those things and get a rebounder. Get yourself a little personal trampoline and get those lymphatics moving. Start very little. Um, and again, things like colloidal silver, things like oregano oil, just very light, very, very, very small doses. If you have to open up a darn capsule to shrink that dose down and do a quarter of the size, please do so. Um, but yes, everybody's a little bit different. So YouTube, slow on the comments here. TikTok is a beast at asking questions. Anyways, Mr. Luke, I had x-rays done on my knees. The gap of my knee joints are close together, causing sharp pain. Yeah, so you're probably having some arthritic changes there. Vitamin D is huge. K2 is huge. Things like NATO, things like fermented dairy. As long as you don't have certain allergies like that, I would switch to a goat source if you do have things like that. But kefir, things like fermented soy, which usually I'm not a soy guy, not a soy boy at all. But fermented soy in the form of NATO, and even something like NATO kinase from a supplement standpoint, if you're having trouble finding it, you can get good benefit of moving calcium deposits around. But it's an adaptation. So it is an adaptation there. Structurally, I would be figuring some things out. I'll be going to a chiropractor and probably um, somebody that can rehab and retrain you from a proprioceptive standpoint on balancing techniques and eccentric strengthening, things like that. Also, shockwave therapy. Amazing, amazing for handling the extremities and just breaking up tissues that have become fibrotic and calcified and moving those deposits along so that your body can calm that inflammatory response down. But it is an inflammatory response. I invite you to look into the foods that you're doing too, because you could do something like a food allergy test and reducing your sugars and from a chemical standpoint, helping a lot of things out there, a lot with pain and things. So Yes. Beautiful stuff, Luke. And then for William, mm, problem for me is I'm blue collar, so I'm stuck in steel toe boots. So zero drop on those shoes are out of the game. I've maybe seen some brands. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but they are starting to make some barefoot boots now. So I don't know about the steel toe thing, OSHA compliance and all that stuff. I'm not too sure about, but definitely something to look into. Mm, Go here. TikTok throws me all the way down again. Get back up. Figure out where we were. Oh, we weren't too crazy far. OJ Simpson. That's so funny. Nas, how am I today? I'm doing pretty damn good. We got a little family party here at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to try and capture some videos to that. Who knows? Maybe we'll go live during the party. Um, get some good music going. Going to have close to 30 people here, friends and family, and actually the real estate person for the Future Wellness Way office will be here as well. So that's pretty cool. Um, but yes, and ooh, I forget the name. Luke, I think it was about the knee pain. Just came to mind. Bone broth protein powders. Holy crap! Now you're going to actually support that joint with the constituents of bone broth that create bone in the first place. So it's good to get the different matrix of those proteins found in something like a bone broth protein. I'm not talking about bone broth like you're making a roast in a slow cooking crock pot or something like that. I'm talking like actual Ancient Nutrition, really good brand there. Message me if you need to know more. I'm actually trying to get discount codes for those right now to give to you guys. I have discount codes for other protein sources, not the bone broth run just yet. I'm going to adjust this light because it makes me look like a crazy person. So let's go like that. There's too much direct light here. We're back. There we go. Now I don't look too crazy anymore. There we go. And Maze. Hello, doctor. How to put Hashimoto's into remission with TPO only at 19. That's beautiful. And you want to get those antibodies as low as possible. And once your body is confirmed with an autoimmune thing there, an autoimmune process, you are going to have to be very strict on the immune triggers that you come in contact with. That is internal, that is external, that is stress bound, mentally, chemically, physically, in all those senses. So for Mr. Nick here, you've had that GI test done, you've had beautiful stuff. Um, I would wonder, are you still doing those things? Are you still avoiding those immune triggers? And it's going to take time. And then you want to retest those things again. I don't know if you have had retesting done at any point, but yeah, that's something that you want to do. And good, inflammatory means there, if you do come in contact with certain things that are inflaming the system again, albizia, ashwagandha, rhamania, great stuff. Medicinal mushrooms too. Oh my goodness. But yeah, Hashimoto's is an immune issue. And I don't want you to look at that as a diagnosis. I want you to look at that as a means of getting stressors down and rebuilding the body, supporting normal physiology to have those responses occur back to normal. So, yes, they know just like some tips. Oh, to answer next question. How long? I have no idea. That depends on how good you are at not being sassy with your immune triggers. So that's all dependent on you, my friend. But yeah, it depends how strict you've been. Are you um, sticking to the food plan? Are you sticking to the lifestyle plan? Are you sticking to the action steps that were given to you? Are you sticking to the supplement regime that you were put on? So it all depends on you. Lord Bolt. Oh my goodness, I have a hernia, but still small. I'm thinking about getting it fixed. Dang, Laura, you were going through the ringer, my friend. Hernias are never fun. I also have arthritis in the C5 through T2 region, so my traps compensate and tighten up, and to the point that it pinches nerves. Yeah, that that really sucks. That really sucks. Um, been there, seen a bunch of people that have been there too. Um, where did that comment go? There it is. Yeah, I mean, obviously going to a chiro is going to help a bunch, but you want to be doing your own rehab there too. Things like prolordotic bands, things like vibration plates, things like strengthening the anterior neck. Um, all great things to be doing, or even Denerolls too. Not dinner roll, Denerol, Denne roll. That way you can get good compressive forces going with the curve of the neck so that you can actually break up some adhesions that way, promote more ligament elasticity, but then the prolordotic band, keeping your head over your shoulders and retracting that chin back. And now I get to a point to where I can actually feel the cavitations of the sets in the vertebral spine um, making their motions through to the point where now I can sit here and just properly chin tuck and dip my head back and feel those segments click back in, which is really cool. But heck yeah, man. Jen, happy Saturday. Happy Saturday to you too, Jen. Doo-doo-doo. Antonio Duardo. Yes, that's me. Yes, got blood work done in early April. Just not converting it to T3. Gonna retest soon. Been very strict before this happened. My diet was very strict. Don't know how this happened. This is from birth. You can have things like this go on. So, but yeah, conversion of T3 heavily reliant on the liver itself, heavily reliant on the GI. So now you're probably going to have those labs redone and then look at doing a detox very soon. And this is to be done at the right time. To be done at the right time. This does not mean you go to the TikTok shop and try and find the latest, I don't know, bundle of detoxing herbs. First of all, those things should not be in powderized forms, anyways, and they need to be pulled out through a food grade ethanol to have all the constituents in there. So, Nick, you are, if I'm to guess, somewhere around the halfway point here, which is very nice. Um, but yeah, you're probably going to have labs redone and then look at doing a detox very soon. And then now, okay, where are we at? Seeing where the adaptations have taken place, where you're at physiologically, and how you can promote more of that normal function. But supporting the liver, supporting the GI is huge. I don't know if you've done any GI testing, but that may be the next route there too. But yeah, let us know down below. And then William, especially doing row movements in the gym on the contraction, I can feel the nerves being pushed on. Yeah, it honestly, you need to promote an anterior curve within the spine. So for somebody that doesn't have all these materials, you can do this is a little, you know, kind of like made up in a way, but honestly, going to like the very end of a weight bench and doing this with guiding with your hands the whole time, but taking your head, if this is the end of the weight bench, starting at the very top of the skull, guiding your head back, moving down, guiding your head back, moving down, guiding your head back. And you're doing that with your hands. I don't want you to do this without the hands yet, but you're going to do essentially what that prolordotic band is doing, and it's going to pretty much allow those segments to push through, allow a little bit of imbibition done on those discs in there, which basically distracts a little bit, pulls all good fluids back in, and then compresses. So now you're getting, this is why I talk about that trampoline, because this is a whole body wide thing. And you'll even see that. Something like dead hanging too. I've talked about this a bunch, especially this week. But dead hanging with the wrist hooks that you can get so that you can fully let your weight go on a pull up bar. And now, guiding your head back in the same way, even doing this myself, I will literally feel those segments clicking forward. And it feels awesome. It feels great because anybody knows that when you're stressed out like crazy, you're going to tense up. So, and supporting that stress too, things like kava, things like California poppy, beautiful things that you could be doing there. Um, yeah, I'd leave it there, but you will get benefit from that. My sister's in here too. Hello, Nick Mays. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of selenium, zinc, iron. Just for that, did the GI test. Just imbalances, no infections. Beautiful, beautiful. Um, yeah, and if you were on antibiotics for a little while and you felt a little bit of that kind of anxious, anxiety, depressive aspects of there too, mental health wise, then yeah, that's probably why you didn't have too many infections show up or overgrowths because in that sense, your GI was depleted. So pretty cool. Hope I can get full remission by November, December. I'm young, work out, and walk a lot. Probably, my man. Probably. That's probably an accurate statement right there. And then Lane, can kava cause depression? Supplements don't cause issues. Um, you will promote more dopamine to be produced and go into circulation there. So kind of the opposite. Kind of the opposite there. But yeah, should I include alien abductions in my medical history? What? What YouTube, there's 10 people in here and nobody's commenting, but TikTok is going crazy in the comments. So if you see me looking here or looking down, I got all the comments pulled up on here. Because I got two phones. Oh, hold on. I'm going to let the little doggo in here. I hear him by the door. Luca, Luca, come here, buddy. Come on in. Oh my goodness. You got a little bath. What's up, buddy? Come on over here. Got the doggos in here. Got the dogs in. Oh, and he ran away. Son of a bitch. What is the easiest versus hardest issue you had to work with? I would say I'm going to just shut this door again because it helps the sound. Sound kind of bounces around if I don't that way. All right. Oh, there is a delay. Okay. Easiest versus hardest issue. Uh, let's start with easiest. The easiest case ever was a guy similar to you, the dude that asked the question, because he was young, he was doing basically carnivore-ish, so heavy proteins, not skimping out on meat, doing a ton of fiber, doing a ton of fruits, doing some organ meats, doing spring water, doing cold plunges and saunas and all those things. It was just his GI that during school he was pretty much off the rails on certain eating habits, drinking habits that happened with school, and obviously alcohol. When you're drinking that in excess, you're going to kill off your own microbials, so beneficial ones. And add in things like brewer's yeast and very common allergies. But for him, it was pretty much figuring out things in regards to foods and then repairing the GI. And testosterone went from like 300 to higher 800. So pretty cool there. And yeah, that took, I don't know, 3 months. But the hardest one was probably either, I can think of two. probably a crazy mold case or crazy hormone GI anemia case. I've talked about the mold one on here before, so I'm just gonna use go with the other story. But and her name was, no, I'm just kidding. We can't give out HIPAA stuff. But yeah, it was a lady that her husband died in like the middle of everything, extremely anemic, extremely fatigued, gaining weight like crazy, issues with the joints, very, very, very low estrogens, multiple overgrowths within the GI, multiple overgrowths of yeast. And this took well over a year. She was, you know, um, how do you like disclose age without disclosing age? Over 60, let's just say that, well over. And yeah, in the middle of care, husband died, passed away, totally started going off the rails on foods and things like that. And then honestly, that took a ton of work on both ends, on my end, on her end. Um, that was probably one of. We're back. I got you, YouTube people. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. All right, YouTube, how's the sound? I don't want to give a big ramble and then have you not hear anything. So let me know how the sound is. Because I want to answer your question about GERD. Put in the chat from what you guys know about what we've talked about so far, or what I've talked about with you guys for the people that have been through some of this stuff. What do you guys know about the GERD? Oh, you thought you had a problem with your phone? No. This was I'm using the mic for YouTube here because the second phone I have is a little iffy on the volume there. But it sounds like you guys can hear me again. So yeah, basically, this person asks to calm down from panic attacks, and can GERD cause panic attacks? I would say that the mental stress is now leading, and there's probably been some chemical stressors going on there from food and drinks and having too much fun in a toxic sense. But yeah, you can have mental stress, chronically suppress stomach acid, and now you're going to have acid reflux. You're going to have that splash back up because the acidity within the stomach is not high enough. We have lower, or we have more acidic environments within our stomach than a freaking cat or a dog does. And if somebody is properly feeding their dogs and cats, they're giving them raw meat. So a normal pH for a dog or cat is like twice the amount of base that it is to ours. Our pH is like 1.5. That means you could put your finger into somebody's stomach. Not that you would ever do this, but you would come out with a freaking nub. So if that's not high enough in acidity, you're going to have that reflux come up. This was what I dealt with. This is what I had to do for myself. So you can start with taking some aloe vera juice and mixing that with apple cider vinegar before you eat, because now you're going to get more of a mucosal lining produced there. You're going to have good anti-inflammatory aspects from the aloe vera juice itself, and now the benefit of controlling the feedback loop with the brain to promote normal and even more acidity within the stomach itself. On top of that, because the chronic stress that you're going through and the anxiety, the panic attacks, stuff like that, that's going to be heavily connected to the mental stress going on. So things like California poppy, things like ashwagandha, great things that you could be doing in the short term to buy you some time. However, that chronic panic attack thing going on, there are stressors in your life leading you to that scenario. whether this was from antibiotics that you did, it now depleted your own microbiota, and now that is depleting a lot of the healthy neurotransmitters, things like serotonin, things like dopamine, things that you need in your GI to have normal, happy chemicals circulating throughout the body. This is why they say your gut is your second brain. Is ask Nick here, ask Elaine, ask me. This is issues that I dealt with too. Can you have things hormonally going on there too? 100 million, thousand, bajillion percent. Um, so a lot. That's a big number. But anyways, yeah, I would be doing a GI test, and I would be making sure you have enough proteins. So quick things that you could do: aloe vera juice. Follow what's on the bottle there. Mix that with a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. Work that up to a tablespoon. Doing that right before meals. I would also want you doing glandulars and protein on top of that, because you probably here. Oh fuck. There we go. I'm not a robot. Gotta verify the stream. Um, but yeah, and for the people on YouTube, I can get you discounts to good um, liver glandular and protein powder. But for if you're on YouTube, you need to send me an email. If you're on TikTok, just send me a message, and I will get those things for you. We could also do honey, also mold-free coffee, also creatine, also protein, um, meat sticks, things from Lineage and Equipped. And I'm basically working on building an entire clean brand list that I can put in the link tree here for you guys to use. Actually, no. If you guys are on YouTube, just use the link in the link tree. I should probably put the code in here down as well. This is the code. If you're on TikTok, I'm working on getting the um, what's it called? The link and the profile set up, and TikTok is taking forever to register my business thing. So this is the code. So we'll do that on TikTok. We'll do that on YouTube. That way, if you don't use the link, you can just pop this in there and then get the discount. Pretty cool. I'm going to go over to the YouTube platform and pin this in the chat there. I can't do it from my phone, so I got to do it from the Computadora. But let's go here. For discounts in, and then we'll pin that too, so that all the new peeps. There we go. Giving away value today. Giving away value in the sense of a bunch of stuff. Okay, cool. Okay, let me scroll back up. All right, I kind of went on some rants there, so we'll get back to the actual chat. And Destiny. This is a cool answer or question. Why do we tear up for no reason? So tearing up in the sense of your eyes doing that, it's probably a airborne allergen that you're coming into contact with. So you can do something like a colloidal silver nasal spray just to get that within the sinuses there. But yeah, that's an allergen that you come into contact with. But that's not a response that it's a response that kind of teaches you something, that you're coming into contact with something, and now the adaptation there is to promote acidic environments, promote your nose to get stuffy and nasally and watery eyes to flush those things out. So if any of you guys have worked with like doing hay, like when I was a kid, teenage years, oh my goodness, working in a barn all day with all that hay, and you're like, colloidal silver, doing some castor oil on the sinuses too, something like that. Doing something like nettle, something albezious in the system, you can calm those responses down a bunch. But I encourage everybody to get labs done, not to just take things You want to be guided on what you are doing and why. Um, so, yeah, if you need help with those things on YouTube, send me an email. It's in my profile thing. TikTok, it's easy. Just send a message. Oh boy. All right, Lane has a bunch of good comments in here too. So, one for the plug and one for the laughing faces. I guess that was in response to the codes. Did medical school, didn't go to medical school. Teach the business aspects of running a practice. No, school doesn't prepare you for life. School prepares you to take a board exam. Doesn't matter what kind of school you've been through, unless you went to business school, and even business school sucks at this too. So, yeah, in those senses, yeah, it doesn't prepare you at all. You need to find a network of people in your life that are going to support you through those things. This is why I found the Wellness Way, because there's a ton of people in this network that are amazing at growing other people from a personal level, from a business standpoint, from a doctoral standpoint, from all the things that we do with labs and physiology. So find good people that are outside of your comfort zone that are going to push you like crazy, because that is the fastest way to get somewhere. That's an awesome question, though. But yes, ABCD, how to stay healthy as a student who doesn't get much time for it. Yeah, I mean, support and stress. You mentioned being a student there. You're going to be having long nights. You're going to be drinking a lot of caffeine. I would just encourage you to switch the sources of caffeine up. Doing things like matcha, doing things like green tea, taking stress relieving herbs in the times that you're going to have a bunch of stress, things like California poppy, things like ashwagandha. Um, Pairing those two together, beautiful stuff there too. But yeah, supporting mental stress, watching how much you're going off on the eating when you do get some time for yourself, because mental stress doesn't make you crave salads, let's be real. It makes you crave bread, it makes you crave pasta, potatoes, all the stuff that leads to problems. Drinking, keep that at a very minimum. This is why I love kava as an herb, because you can pretty much take it and kind of feel like you're drinking without destroying your liver. So, pretty cool. My sister said, "Oh my God, Luca!" That was the little doggy that came in here. Just out of curiosity, are you married or engaged? This is my left hand. No. Um, we do get that question a lot here. It's very interesting. When I'm anxious, I don't get full or get hungry. And a few years ago, it was the opposite. I can barely eat for like a month. I don't get full or like starving, too low of stomach acid. I feel like usually if you have hormonal issues, that's true too, because there's immune factors there that are going to change the secondary systems, the hormonal systems. So that's why you'll see people on these lives going, everything is caused by the gut. And it's like, oh my God, no, it's not. there's there's more than that. It's just that we can control a lot of those responses coming in from the GI. So can you have a big influence? Totally. But not if that's not where it's coming from. So everybody's different. Everybody is going to go through different things in their life that are going to throw things off in the first place and lead you to problems. So yeah, I mean, could it be coming from there? Totally. Does it have to? No. It's just that mental stress is going to impact the GI as well, but it's going to impact your immune system too. It's going to impact your neurology. It's going to impact your blood vessels. You're going to vasoconstrict and all these other things too. So, but yeah, if you are stressing out like crazy, a lot of women, like you mentioned, Layden, they won't get hungry at all. They'll stop eating. So that's why when you start reducing some stress, now you get super hungry. People that are doing edibles, marijuana, stuff like that. What's the side effect to that? You get freaking hungry. You get the munchies. So that's because it's relieving some stress. It's putting you into a parasympathetic state. It's promoting melatonin. It's doing things to calm you down. I don't want to ever have anybody lighting things on fire and inhaling them. Um, but
if you found something that can reduce some stress there and you're not depending on things, there's some debates with these because there can be certain effects there from a vasoconstrictive standpoint, but research is still coming out on those things too. But okay, what's your way to manage stress? Keeping activity up, keeping your body moving, because when you're in school, you're basically going to sit in a banana shaped position and study like crazy. So, um, I would make sure you're getting enough proteins in. I would make sure you're getting enough stomach acid. I would make sure you're doing some medicinal herbs that can support those stressors and normal physiology from that sense mentally. California poppy, love it. Um, CBD, ashwagandha, kava. Not that you need to do all of those things, but find one of them and see which works best for you. And obviously, get show you how. But I mentioned exercise here because they've compared that to some SSRIs and seen exercise blow it out of the water. Um, and making sure you're doing good fermented foods there too, just to support from a micro standpoint, building good calming neurotransmitters there too. That's just not going to help with a mental stress realm, but also in a brain sense to get easier learning and things like that. That's why I also love something like Bacopa too, because now you're working on memory centers, you're working on um, the hypothalamus, you're working on stress feedbacks, HPA axis stuff. So great stuff. Great stuff. Um, Vascularity is getting low day by day. Yeah. Is it cause of unhealthy eating? That's one piece, but also move in that body. Things like rebounders. This is something where you can literally spend $100 and get a rebounder or a personal trampoline and jump on that thing for freaking 10 minutes. And you will feel differences mentally, chemically, physically, even from a pain standpoint, from a vascularity standpoint, like you mentioned there, from your heart rhythm, from your sleep cycles. Um, Make sure you're getting out in the sun or at least exposing your eyes to it in the morning and towards sunset, because that's going to help you regulate some things there too. But, and keeping your proteins high enough. Like I said, for the YouTubers, that link is in the profile there. I pinned the discount code in um, because you're going to get deficient if you're inactive, if you're doing unhealthy foods. You're going to have more calling for, honestly, with inflammatory foods, you're going to need more nutrients. So you'll see people on like My 600 Pound Life and be like, oh my gosh, they have enough food. It's like, well, they have enough calories, but they don't have enough good ingredients, constituents to build up those tissues and promote normal function. So, oh my goodness, I need to do some dead hangs today. Let's see. We had a raw meat question. Sorry, I skipped it because the other guy, it was kind of the same topic. Raw meat is healthy, right? Question mark. Um, it depends a lot on sourcing. It depends a lot on stomach acidity because there's gonna be microbials tagging along for that ride, things like parasitic issues, even certain things like mold and stuff that go on raw meats and things. So I'm a fan of cooking those things. You know, can you do a little bit here and there, but you need to make sure that your stomach is acidic enough so that you're not running into issues where now you're creating some problems in the GI later on, which can totally happen. Seen it a bunch. That can totally happen. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna say no, honestly, unless you're really promoting stomach acid, you really know where that sourcing is coming from, like you yourself or your best buddies, like a butcher. Um, can you see great benefits to that and be, somebody that it really doesn't affect them totally? But in my personal opinion, which anytime you ask somebody something, whether they're an MD, a DO, this or that. It's an opinion. People act like doctors give you facts. These aren't facts, these are opinions. This is why when you go to a different doctor, you get a second what? Opinion. So it's not like it's written in stone somewhere. This is kind of funny. People on here, especially on TikTok, are like, Jesus. They're like, I need to be hung on a cross and all this stuff because I'm harming society. I actually, very frequently, I get community guideline bans on my videos, plural, for just talking about normal blood vessel function or some shit like that. And they freaking limit everything. It's like, what are we doing here? It's like your video is harmful psychologically, physiologically to society, causing societal harm. What? I'm telling people to get stressed down. What the hell are you talking about? Um, Either way, where are we at here? YouTube questions, stuff here, raw meat question, which we can disagree on. That's cool. Why do we get hypnic jerks? If you mean like twitching and things like that, probably lack of sleep is one thing. Lack of sleep and certain influences on neurology there. Maybe you are holding on to catecholamines a little bit too long, or maybe you are not producing enough good, healthy neurotransmitters, things like dopamine and stuff. You could even have excess of those things and lead to a similar thing. I mean, look up serotonin syndrome. It makes you literally feel crazy. So that's send me an email. In my bio, you'll see an email in there. There's no cost with this. We're giving out value today and every day. But yeah, I'd want to probe some questions here. And then Rohit said, "What? How is that possible?" I don't know what that was in response to. So, bum, bum, bum. Lane. I tried that once, never again. I couldn't function. No Mary Jane for her. That's cool. Best things for your gut, in your opinion: one, stomach acid; two, fiber; three, fermented foods. Nice and easy. Those are my three favorites. But that's, assuming that there's no other issues going on, which 99% of the time there is. Usually there's too much mental stress there, those issues. Usually there's a lot of chemical things going on. Improper foods, stressing out like crazy, drinking, smoking, doing the bad stuff. But yeah, in general, promoting stomach acid, not being protein deficient, having good IgA secretion from certain berries and things like that, which is really hard to get from food sources and things there. So, but stomach acid support, good sources of fiber, and then fermented foods. Thoughts on lots of. Oh, wait, hold on. Richard, how do I get into chiropractic? I have business undergrad with a few biology hours. I would reach out to the school and probably to the admissions department, and they can give you a yes or no to, are those prerequisites enough? You're probably going to need a couple more courses in there, but you could combine those over one summer and boom, be done. Honestly, though, you know, the debt from graduate degrees is crippling. So at this point in America right now, I don't even know if it's worth doing something like that, which is pretty sad to say. But yeah, just from school, I have $200,000 of student loans, plus another 100 grand for starting a business. So, woohoo! Um, Party. Either way, yeah, I mean, I would reach out to the admissions. Um, through certain schools, I would encourage you to go to something like Life University in Georgia. If I were to do it all over again, I would go there. And yeah, reach out to them because they're going to give you a straight up yes or no on if those prerequisites are enough. But really consider the loans because since I've even gone, those loan prices have continued to go up. That's freaking nuts. That is crippling. And, you know, with a degree like that, you can pay it back and not be like, you know, dying every month to try and just meet those minimum stuff and actually get the loan principal down. You won't have an issue with that. But if something happens with the economy or something, it could be a bad day there. Okay, there's a few more in here. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, Rohit said, "What? How is that possible?" This is in regard to the community guidelines thing. Yeah, TikTok communism, Watch me get banned for just saying that. I don't care. I'll go out, support my own opinions here. Thought this was America, you know? But I guess it's a worldwide platform. It doesn't even that doesn't even make you should be able to freely speak on things and the marketplace will show you whether or not that's correct or not. That's the cool thing about the internet nowadays is things will get clipped, things will get taken, things will get put right into the marketplace and everybody will look at it and everybody will sort their own opinions out. I freaking love that about the internet. I love that about doing lives. I can basically get on here and talk to the world, which is freaking awesome. Um, but yeah, so I think it's freaking nuts, honestly, Rohith. Now I'm watching that I have slow Wi Fi, of course, from a farm. Since we have an acidic stomach, we can digest raw meats better, 100%. And I would want people to support even more acidity if you, whether you're doing raw food or not. I would want people to support things like that. And if you are on a farm, you know where those things are coming from. You know that they're good sourced um, animal proteins that you will be getting there. Then that's a different conversation for sure for the Elevate Forge. Um, but yeah, I like your thoughts there. Is Alzheimer's genetic? And then Elevate Force. Alzheimer's is not a genetic, though. Ailments and habits. I love this. I love this guy. Elevate Forge. Love this guy. And some background here, too. I think one of Rohith's people close to him, I think somebody's suffering from something like that. But myself and pretty much every other Wellness Way office has seen somebody come in with something like Alzheimer's. Um, can there be genetic factors for anything? Okay, but what about epigenetics? What about changing your habits? What about you're in this intelligent body that knows how to heal itself? So if you can find the triggers for why something like that is happening, like the amount of sugar that's been going on, hello, type 3 diabetes is basically affecting your brain. That's like the newest thing here because there's sugar in everything. And people don't stop eating sugar. You're going to crave it forever. You can't get away from that. You cannot get away from that. And that is by far the number one thing. Plus, there's side effects to certain things that you could be taking too that are leading to that. But not really my place to say, right? Those you could look up on your own or ask a person with that degree to give you advice on that. But in my opinion, I've seen a lot of those things change. I've seen things change. One, by just getting sugar out of the system, supporting good pancreatic function, supporting the liver to move those things along, get triglycerides down, get the hemoglobin A1C down, get insulin responses regulated, having good building blocks and constituents for the brain, things like bacopa, things like mucuna seed that can now feed into those dopamine loops and promote the memory centers of the brain, start rebuilding, um, retraining, doing activities, things like that. You can see a powerful impact on that, but getting a GI test and getting blood work is unavoidable in this scenario. So for Rohith or anybody on the YouTube platform, if you do need further, more in-depth things here, things like testing and stuff like that, send me an email. If you're on YouTube, TikTok, send me a message because TikTok can do that. I don't know why YouTube hasn't created a message feature, right? Wouldn't that make sense? It's my opinion. But yeah, Jen, that is so much. I know. Okay, we got through all those. Talked about the GI. Let's go back here. Boo, boo, boo. Handled Richards, handled Nick's there. Thoughts on fruits and some veggies for prebiotics. I like seeing stuff from Pickled Foods, pickled veggies, um, because raw veggies, they're going to be harder to break down. When you're doing stuff like pickled foods, you're going to get now easier breakdown and then more microbial benefit there. And they're pre-digested. So that's where your prebiotics are coming from. If you're going to do fermented veggies, now you're getting more of a probiotic thing there. So fruits, I mean, they're going to have some fiber in there. If you're leaning towards a lot of the berry sources, blueberries, blackberries, stuff like that, totally. Um, but yeah, I would do pickled and fermented veggies. I like Small Town Cultures. I don't know where you're from, but that's just a great brand because I don't want to take the time to, you know, cut stuff up and put it in water and add salt and wait for it to whatever. I am right now though making a rice-based sourdough starter, so stay tuned for that. That'll be pretty cool. Excited, very excited because I can have a clean form of bread now because I'm not allergic to the rice grain, and that is the lowest prolamine structure of similar gluten proteins. Rice is by far the lowest. The Japanese hit that on the head there um, with that food group. But another one. You think training intensely hard in the gym to extreme failure could cause issues even with 9 hours of sleep? Healthy foods coming in, lots of proteins, carbs, and fats. You're a young guy. Do I see any issues with that? No. I see more issues with not enough recovery. If you're going 7 days a week, you can run into some problems there. But yeah, I would prioritize recovery over everything and just making sure that you're doing enough food wise to get that good recovery because you're doing the training. That's not the issue. The issue is the recovery. You're doing the sleep. Great. Now, how much protein we're getting. And you can go to thewellnessway.com. You can type in protein calculator and it will show you if you're trying to maintenance, if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to gain weight, keep muscle on, what you should be doing based off your activity, based off your body weight, and things like that. And I guarantee it's way more than you think. This is why I've built protein discounts in the link here because it's extremely important. But yes, I think you should be good there. Rua Texter, hello. Postmenopausal 67-year-old. All I have to do is look at food and I gain weight. Ugh. So let's explain this because you're not crazy. And when you're in something like menopause, one, it's not a disease, it is a stage of life. And typically, when people hit that menopausal realm, and before you get pissed at me here, I understand that it sucks when you are guided through the standard American procedure there. I'd be curious if you're on any HRT or things like that. But besides the point, when you enter something like menopause, the ovaries, they're on vacation. They're not producing follicles anymore. You're not getting hormone from the development and breakdown of ovarian follicles. So now it's going to come from adrenal glands and fat tissue. Oh my goodness. So now you look at a piece of bread and Rua Texter, what happens? Your ring doesn't fit anymore. Your shoes don't fit anymore. You blow up like crazy. Your skin swells. Your joints hurt. You gain 10 pounds because your body's now going to hold on to that and say, oh my goodness, we can aromatize hormone off of these through these fat cells. And that's why menopausal women will gain weight very easily. And there can be blood sugar things going on. There can be insulin resistance things going on there too. You can have issues with the GI. You can have immune factors. You can have neurological factors go on. But at the point where you're 67, you've had a spouse, you probably had kids, you probably had a job for the betterment of 65 years of your life. And that's a lot of stress that adds up and drains the adrenals like crazy. So, yeah, you want to support your stress. For one, you can do things like black cohosh just to build up more the estrogens and their receptors and make them more receptive to estrogen hormones. But um, estrogen itself is not a hormone. So you need to get those mapped out. You need to have your adrenals mapped out through something like a urine hormone test, and pairing that with blood work, you will get a very clear assessment as to what needs to be done there. Um, Send me a direct message if you need help getting those labs done, because very infrequently are you actually going to have a provider that's going to order the right labs and have enough stuff on there, because there can be things like autoimmunity and things going on there too that are just going to make it even more difficult if you don't have a direct plan of how to get this weight off and how to get stress down. But yeah, black cohosh, ashwagandha, maybe something like a little bit there too, like a push-up bra for the adrenals. I would do ashwagandha, white peony, black cohosh right now. Um, but again, that's without knowing anything about you, and it kind of frustrates me. Like I want to give you guys good value here and give you some clear answers, but I don't have any labs on you guys, so it drives me crazy. Not knowing those things, but yes, totally, totally. I feel you. I feel you, my friend. Not that I've ever been through female hormonal issues, but I hope that made some sense there for you. Mr. W. Looks like we got some bots in the chat too, telling me something I already know. Ooh. Okay, wait, guys. I'm going to skip down to Rua Texter's additional comments, and then I'm going to come back to the ones above her. So, no HRT. I am hypoglycemic, so there is some sugar dysregulation there. That's going to play into this too, because now you're basically eating something, getting a big old spike of sugar, and now that's dropping off like crazy. Um, so I'd probably be having you do like something like Gymnema after your meals. This is where going back to the GI functions, going back to things like Oregon grape, things like Gymnema, things like promoting stomach acid, stuff that's going to help your body now regulate these sugars that are coming into the system. So, but stress is also going to influence those. And we just talked about how you had 60 plus years of stress go on, and now that has completely drained you from a hormonal standpoint. And yeah, now you're going to crave sugar like crazy. Now you're not going to be able to handle a lot of those sugars. Just being stressed out, for one thing, can lead you to be hypoglycemic and have those overreactions. So send me a message and get your protein up like crazy, because you're probably deficient. Um, Women do not eat enough. I'm sorry, but you guys snack all day. You guys do not eat enough protein. I'm sorry. I'd rather give you the honest truth, lead to some pain a little bit that way, and have you make a change than try and like win you over on something. Okay, back up here, Mr. W. I have family issues with my dad, but I get confused. We don't have a good relationship. Yeah, I mean, we'll comment here, because when you're growing and somebody else isn't, it's going to be very painful to be around them. So I understand what you're saying there. And really, the issue or the solution there is to keep going and to start to lead the other people around you with baby steps, so that you're not pushing somebody into something that they don't want to do, but leading them with little baby steps to make some changes. But they have to want to do that. So bringing that up right out in the open is going to probably lead to the quickest solution, although maybe an overreaction sometimes. But yeah, there's probably other things going on in there too. Um, my personal view: keep faith in your life, turn to the Lord, and ask Him for help in some of those ways too, and you will see changes. That's just my personal opinion. Not over spiritualize things, just saying, hey, use the tools at your disposal. Krista and Richard's fam. I have excruciating leg bone pain. Can't figure it out. I would be very curious if that is one side or both. There can be something deeper going on there. And if there was something physically ever done there, because if not, then I would actually be concerned for a few things. So, Mr. Jeff, fake doctor pretending to, where is it? Fake doctor pretending to be a real doctor. What? I mean, have we talked about surgery on here? Have we talked about medication on here? No? Okay, so, I mean, we're talking about getting mental, chemical, physical stress down, getting comprehensive labs to evaluate your physiology and how your body's adapting to those stressors in your life, and now making a freaking plan to get back to normal. If you don't want to do that, if you don't want your own hands and be responsible for your own actions, then yeah, take a pill, go see an MD. You don't have to, we can disagree in this world. People don't, isn't it funny? People can't disagree anymore. People like get so butthurt when you have a difference in opinion. We should be able to disagree, right? Why we're on this life. We're here to talk it out, put it out into the world. If you don't agree with that, it's very easy. Take your thumb and you go like that on the screen. And you go like that. Advice: take it or leave it. Um, vitamin D was what they thought it was. My vitamin D was at 10. Oh my God. But I've been OR-D for 6 months, no improvement. Yeah, Krista, I don't, there's, I'd be curious to ask some further questions here. There can be a couple different things going on. I'd be very curious about your age too, in a sense of if you are getting osteopenic or osteoporotic from estrogen metabolism getting too low. So your estrogens are getting too low now, and that's leading to some bone loss. So the vitamin D, you can do a lot of K2. You're really going to get this from fermented dairy sources, um, and things like natto kinase. That's going to take calcium and now put that back into the bone. Um, and honestly, I see calcification on a lot of glands and other tissues, things like thyroid glands too. So K2 is a beautiful thing to be doing. But yeah, I would be curious for some things here, and things like bone broth protein, um, not like bone broth soup stuff, but actual bone broth protein. Ancient Nutrition, great brand that you could be doing, but I'd wonder what else was done on those labs too, and let me see those labs. um, Adrian, thoughts on a medication there? I don't know anything about that medication, and I don't really speak on meds, anyways. So, Rua Texter says, thank you. I agree. I will message you. Beautiful stuff. All right. I got to go rapid fire here because we have the party starting soon. That's why I got this cool ass shirt on. Party shirt. Have a little family friend gathering today. Outside, we got speakers. We got a bunch of cool stuff. Um, just to kind of do like a end of summer thing. But okay, ready for some rapid fire, and then we're gonna end the live, unfortunately. But here we go. How long do you think it takes to start converting T4 to T3 effectively? It depends on how long you've had that deficiency, but obviously making sure that you can get, if you have enough T4, you have enough iodine, doing the things like selenium, you're getting good protein sources in, as you mentioned before, so you will have the building blocks like tyrosine and stuff like that. It sounds like there was a GI issue for some time, and the liver. The liver's going to need to convert a lot of those things too. And then there's immune factors on top of that. You confirmed the antibodies as well. So that's just going to further inhibit things. It means you have to be extra careful on the mental stress going on, the chemical stressors going on. But a time frame is very tough to give. I know you're a younger guy, so that is in your corner. It could help this go a little bit quicker. But yeah, um, for something like that, you said you started in April, probably by the end of the year. That's my guess, though. Is that true? I don't know. My best guess. Okay. Thoughts on peptides? I don't really know too much on peptides. I just know that if you promote normal physiology and you get your stressors down, you get labs done, and you get your body back to homeostasis, that way you won't need to take peptides externally, and you'll get those functions throughout from a natural standpoint. Level of 150. Oh my God, that's a little too high for me. I want to see something like 70, 80, 90. That's perfect. The pain is bilateral in the legs, femurs big time. 42. I would get a DEXA scan done so that you can look at bone mineral density and have a very clear answer of if that's the case. So for Krista, cheer 133. Anything to help this vegetarian with bone loss? I'm afraid to take the meds. Yeah, don't be vegetarian. Sorry, I know that hurts. Um, it's very, very hard to get sufficient amounts of nutrients into the system when you're doing a vegetarian or vegan thing going on. And I know that hurts, and I know you hate it, and I know you're gonna say stuff in the comments and all this stuff. What the hell's on my head? Yeah, that's my opinion. I've I've dealt. I've had a lot of patients that are carnivore. I've had a lot of patients that are vegan, vegetarian. By far, the people that struggle the most are vegetarian or vegan. And that's not because I have like a view towards certain things. I think the carnivore people get a little crazy because there's great benefits from plants that you can have, but there's a lot of benefits that you can have from animal products too. Um, yeah, it's tough though. And you need to be, if you are going to continue doing the vegetarian thing, you need very close guidance on that to make sure you're getting sufficient amounts. So, yeah, hemoglobin's at 10. Oh my God, that is way too high. You need that. I want that thing almost under 5. Potassium is 3. Those are not enough labs either. Very, very little are people ever going to get enough labs done from general practitioners. This is why I run my own labs here because I'm not depending on somebody else to order freaking 5 markers through insurance, have it covered by insurance, and then get billed $250 for a lipid panel, a CBC, CMP, and a couple sugar markers. That is absolutely my opinion. I actually get pretty feisty on this topic too because I think the insurance world is full of freaking shit, man. Full of shit. That's why I completely bypass insurance with these labs. Giving it to you straight here. But yeah, for Christine, I'll fluff it up again. Support your stomach acid. Get enough protein in. Lean away from the sugars. Make sure you're doing good vitamin D rich foods. Make sure you're doing good fermented dairy products to get good K2 sources to mobilize that calcium throughout the body. Doing things like Gymnema, Oregon grape to work on those sugar sources. Um, Repair that sugar dysregulation and start moving these things out of the body there. But that's way, way, way too high for an A1C. The brain starts to shrink when hemoglobin A1C gets above 5.3. Okay? And we wonder, is Alzheimer's genetic? Please, please here. So did I change your genes when that stuff starts going away? No. I'm just getting hungry, so Getting feisty. Do do do. I'll calm down again. Does gut health really affect mental health? 100%. Because a lot of those neurotransmitters are created within the GI. That's why I'm always leaning towards things like fermented foods, pickled foods, high fiber sources, good sources of protein, building blocks that are going to give you those constituents to create good, healthy brain hormones, also known as neurotransmitters. Can there be things hormonally going on there too? 100%. For guys, testosterone getting too low, guess what? You're not going to be driven to do things. You're probably not going to be happy. Your wife's not going to be happy. Your gut's not going to be happy. You're going to put weight on, have more fat tissue, things like that. This is where I love testing the GI. I love not guessing with patients. Um, Promote some good stomach acidity, things like apple cider vinegar, things like aloe vera juice. Get good proteins in there. Um, but yeah, okay, I gotta speed it up here. Sherry said maybe I'll get hypnotized. Um, she's having fun with it. I forget what I said. Oh, bone loss meds full of side effects. Oh, okay. You're saying what's being offered there. Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a different approach, I'm not going to approach it that way. My degree doesn't allow me to do that, anyways. It's illegal to do that. So, but yeah, I mean, there's multiple ways to get good bone loss um, start to be rebuilt because your body's built to heal it first of all. And now, if you can feed the bone marrow, eat bone marrow, have good protein um, bone broth sources come in there, now you can start to rebuild those tissues. But oh, I'm not a vegetarian. I'm sorry, Sherry. I apologize for that. I went off on you a little bit there. I'm just trying to go really fast here at this point. Yes, insurance sucks. I also had bilateral PEs. Oh my goodness. After that is when the leg bone pain started. Yep. Okay. Okay. I need to tackle some of these. Is short episodes memory lapses, an occasional difficulty in finding words, earlier signs of Alzheimer's and things there? I mean, you could not sleep for a day and have something like that go on. So I'd be curious for further things going on there, but send me an email. And for YouTube, you have my email. For TikTokers, you have the DMs. It's probably going to be easier if I just call you guys. That'll probably be what I end up doing, anyways, but we'll point you toward good stuff. Okay, I think I reached. Okay, one more, and then I gotta go here. Do you help with teeth problems? Let's think about it a little bit differently here. Your teeth are made of bone minerals. So if you take something like Van Man Company, great brand, they have bone mineral tooth powders with hydroxyapatite, with eggshells in there, with normal calcium that should be from whole food sources like eggshells, and xylitol and charcoal, and all those good sources that you can take, put on a toothbrush, and apply those to your teeth. However, obviously, things like flossing, things like not brushing too hard, and the Van Man tooth powder together, all together, yeah, you can see benefit there. I had a patient actually that went to the dentist. They found 5 cavities. She said, "Holy crap!" 6 months later, in between that time, we did coconut oil pulling and hydroxyapatite tooth powder and flossing. 6 months later, went back to the dentist. Once again, I'm not a dentist, but when you provide good constituents to the body, now you can get those tissues to rebuild. Um, and guess what? No more cavities. Crazy. 5 cavities, 6 months later, no longer there. And they were small ones, but sugar, too, watch your sugar. That's going to have a big influence on that. But, all right, people, I'm going to wrap it up here. Stay tuned. I'll probably try and shoot some things from the party here this afternoon. We're going to have some good food. We're going to have some good family and friends come up. And I'm going to give further updates on the pages here to the Wellness Way office coming to New Jersey and help you guys in the meantime, give away some value, help you guys out. I see the likes coming in, the follows coming in. That's what happens when we get together on the TikTok and YouTube islands and give away some value to you guys. So that was a great group. We'll be back again tomorrow, double phoning it up. Stay tuned, everybody. Let me know. YouTube, submit your questions if you have further ones through email, TikTok, send DMs. If you need discounts to proteins and organic mold free coffee and that sort of stuff, let me know. Peace out. See you guys later. Boom.